I'm Eric, this is Family Man Racing, and let's do a bit of an MR2 update. Big changes.
Not that. We'll come back to that. This is what we're talking about.
So 1992 Toyota MR2 SW20 that I built from scratch. It was just a shell. And if you watch some of my old videos, you see it be all put together from nothing. And we had a 4G63, 2.3 liter stroker. Ooh, that was zoomed in. A DSM Auto Trans. And it now has a big block Mitsubishi. Actually more like a medium block. So although this says MyVec 3.8, it's a lie. It's a 3.5 liter non-MyVec single overhead cam. So it's a 6G74 and the steel valve covers suck. So we're using the MyVec valve covers. Stock bottom end, it has some regrind cams and some lash caps. I figured out you can put lash caps on the valve stems. They're a 6mm valve stem, and continue to use the stock HLA. But that's the Moda 6G75 non-MyVec intake manifold, blah blah blah. So these are some stock from random Mitsubishi stuff, can't see it, but some stock manifolds I welded V-bands on, 2-inch crossover, comes around wise, 2.5 inch into the turbo. That's a new turbo from Force Performance. It's an HD 3782. It's reminiscent of the old FP 3794, except that it's a smaller compressor wheel. So in precision terms, it's a 6666 T4, 82 AR, and then 3-inch downpipe to full thready style, I think, but no name exhaust, and it's still pretty loud. We'll fire it up. FuelTech FT550 with, I think it's called Fulcrum design or something like that, or I don't know, their dash thing I had it made a few years ago. I can't remember. Still an auto trans. This is a 6G auto from a 3000 GT SL front wheel drive. And all the wiring is just the same stuff I had before. It was originally an LS harness that I redid. This is, I pre-wired it. I'm gonna do a PWM idle valve to plumb into here to help out with the idle. Other things to make this fit, to make room for the axle, is remote oil filter. So oil filter housing up here, some dash 10 lines, and then convenient place to plumb to the turbo, and then a dash 10 to the front drain there, and that's it. So big block life. So why did I change it up again? Well, one, I had a bunch of parts, but the main problem was that's the 4 cylinders, when you remove the balance shafts, they vibrate a ton. And so it was very vibraty driving down the road, and on road trips, the plastics in the interior would vibrate. These handles here for the T-tops, I had to put like rubber around them to keep them from vibrating, and it would still vibrate. Everything back here. So you get the point. So what I did was did the V6 because they're smoother and they don't need balance shafts. So also I wanted a little more off boost torque. And I didn't really care about any more power because I don't feel like messing with the auto transmissions, although you can make a lot of power with them if you replace everything and then, you know, deal with maintenance on it. So, but I just, you know, I'm fine with limiting to 500-600 horsepower. So that's what I designed everything around on this setup, was just 500-600. and that's what it's meant to do. And it's the off boost torque is more than I expected, especially with the regrind cams, but I think the intake manifold that I used is helping with that with the long runner. 100% stock torque converter from a 4G63. So I'm planning on reinstalling that and get the little off boost stall up a little bit, and that'll basically eliminate the turbo lag, because it'll flash it up in an RPM range that the turbo will start lighting, and even though the full boost will still be the same, you just get there so much faster. So I'm not really concerned about it. It's going to do exactly what I wanted. And as far as the limitations, fuel system is a single 525, some ID 1050X injectors, and again, stock bottom end. So basically set it up to max everything out around 600 on E85. Does have flex fuel. It's tuned on pump gas already. And then it has some pump E85, which is E56 right now. And that's it. It's pretty cool. Did some, since I'm not doing like racing with it anymore, put a little bit smaller tires on the back so I could lower it down. So it's a 245 4018 and a 215 4018, I think. These are the Nitto Neo Gens. My son suggested those, and they're working really well so far. Yeah. Sparkos, because I don't fit otherwise. Those are like low-rise mounts, modified, so it's on the floor. Fake carbon fiber hood. Go look at the last videos, you'll see. So that's the MR2. Digging it. I'll throw an idle clip in here. Don't have any rollers yet, but it's it fit. I'm super excited. It does exactly what I wanted. Smooth. I don't even have the rubber things on the T-tops anymore. No vibrating. Very smooth. Lots of off boost torque, and we're only running like 8 pounds of boost so far. So once I get like 15, 20 pounds of boost in it, it's going to be a monster. It already is. So pretty exciting. All right, now this. No picture in picture. I was tired of looking at my face. But let me know if you like that. I saw Turbo John doing it, and thought I'd try it. He was actually interviewing somebody and had him on there also, so it made a lot more sense the way he was doing it. But I thought I'd give it a try. Found an app that seems to work. All right, this is my big block. It's a 3.8 liter block, but with a 3.5 crank. So medium, so it's 3.6 liters. And I have a bunch of videos on making this. So if you want to get all the deets on how it got in here, power glide, all-wheel drive, blah, 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 check out all those videos. But it recently ran an 896 at 158 miles an hour, I believe. And so it's it's top 4 3000 GTs of all time, and top 3 6G 3000s. Just getting started, because that had extra weight in the back to meet the rules. So I had welded some bars and bolted in some couple 100 pounds of weight back there. But I'm struggling with the crank shaft. So these used to have Cleveite P bearings available to them, and Cleveite doesn't make those anymore. So we can't really get Cleveites unless they're, you happen to find some somewhere discontinued. You can get Kings and you can get No Name, and they're all just bimetal, regular economy grade bearings. And they're also made to Mitsubishi spec on these, which was intended to run, we'll see, 5W20 oil. So that they made our really tight clearances turn out to be right at 1,000th clearance, oil clearance on the rods and mains. Maybe just a touch more at times, but not even to 1.5. So they're very tight, and there's no room for anything to move. So the 890 pass based on the mile per hour in the eighth, and then it was already hurt by the quarter. But in the eighth, the calculators say 1,000 wheel, and the quarter was like 950 or something like that. But the crank will bend a little bit, and it touches the mains because there's not enough room. And then, you know, you hit the mains enough times and bad stuff happens, and then bearings everywhere, and take out a rod also. So even not taking out any of the bearings and just checking the rod bearings, were overpowering them just without any harm anywhere else. So it's just not working. Now, a billet crank and then maintenance on rod bearings after every weekend of racing would probably work. You still have the tight clearances to deal with and lack of good bearings, race bearings. But what we figured out, though, long story short, is after many hours of online catalog searching, what I found is that a Dodge minivan, Caravan, 3.3 and 3.8 liters, have the same crank journal and for the mains and housing dimensions. And for some reason, because they were older and not as good oils available, they were set up with more bearing clearance from the factory, targeting 2000s. And also, for some reason, Clevite makes their P model, which is tri-layer and set up to hold a bit more power. So I haven't tried it yet in a block, but according to all the specifications, those in my block with my crank will about double the oil clearance and a stronger bearing. One problem is locating tang is on the wrong side, so you got to file that off. Now, rods. Two different options. This one is for a Honda J. They also have on the rod side the same crank journal dimensions as the Mitsu. The housing side is bigger. So the Honda's on the rod journal, the big end is a little bit bigger. So those would need to be, if I use these, I just need to hone rods out a little bit, and then these would drop in. Again, tang's on the wrong side, but whatever. This would be doable. Random, oddball Porsche though. So specifically this, actually that's not too specific, that's wild. 911, 3.3 to 3.8 liter. It's not what it appeared on the ACL website, so hopefully these work. So these are an HX bearing also, which has an extra thousandths clearance from standard. That's the nice thing about ACL and King, is that a lot of the race bearings you can order with extra clearance. So it's just a standard bearing, standard journal, standard everything, but the bearing's just a touch thinner to get up to a thousandths extra clearance. So this Porsche model, in theory, same thing, grind off the tangs, drops in, no changes. So have both just in case. But main-wise, there was really no options, and there's other than these. But if we have double the clearance, I think we're okay. So, and then the Clevite Ps again are way stronger. They used to make them for this, and they don't anymore. But that's going to be the key to get this thing making the power it should. I now have a class legal for a bunch of different classes. Turbo, it's a Zona rotor. The model name of this one would be XRE 7482. So it's a 73.9 class. It's the street version. I think they're coming out with a race version, but this one is plenty for me, and it's a bit more efficient in the power range that I'll run it. The race version will flow more power, but I can't use it anyway because I don't have enough motor to handle it yet. So that's where we're at, and I have still, blocks and blocks of these heads, less of the 6G74 stuff, but You know, I had this and thought I'd put it together, and it's been awesome. So there's a few things to do yet. The lash caps on the intake valves weren't thick enough, so it's a little clattery with too much lash. So I have ordered new lash caps that are thick enough to take up that gap. So I'll take all this crap off. I can do it in the car, so no big deal there. There's a little oil leak also. I fixed a couple. There's one other left to do. Clean up all this. This is I have a spare one. This is my work shelf, so I have a spare one to do. And then this one's gonna get wrapped black. We're gonna try our hand on that. And then this, it's basically the same paint as this. There's a little pearl in it. And the wrap will match in theory. This needs windows finished tinted yet. Mechanically though, it's literally the lash caps, the idle valve, and then I'd like to drop the trans, refresh it. It's stock, so put Kigley clutches in and stuff, and then a mild restall in the torque converter, and then just drive the crap out of it. So, and then this, get a bottom end to hold together. It is, and it would if I turned down the boost, but what's the fun in that? And wrap it, and then eventually throw a passenger seat so we can do drag and drive if we want. I did wrap the door window trim there, so from 20 feet back and at night it looks like a normal 3000 instead of the fiberglass surround. See? And then the same for that. Wrap that as a fiberglass full hatch. Wrap that a piano black, no pearl in it. So getting there.